Welcome back, welcome back. I hope everyone's doing well on this great day that the Lord has given us. We are in Luke chapter 7, so let's begin. Now when he had ended all his sayings in the audience of the people, he entered into Capernaum. And a certain centurion servant who was dear unto him was sick and ready to die. And when he heard of Jesus, he sent unto him the elders of the Jews, beseeching him that he would come and heal the servant. And when they came to Jesus, they besought him instantly, saying that he is worthy for whom he should do this. For he loveth our nation, and he hath built us a synagogue. Then Jesus went with them, and when he was now not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying unto him, Lord, trouble not thyself, for I am not worthy that thou shouldest enter under my roof. Wherefore neither thought I myself worthy to come unto thee, but say in a word, and my servant shall be healed. For I also am a man set under authority, having under my soldiers, and I say unto one, Go, and he goeth, and to the another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turned him about, and said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And they that were sent, returning to the house, found the servant whole that had been sick. And it came to pass that day after that he went into the city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. So I'm going to stop there. We're in verse 12, and what I kind of gathered from this testimony, one, the centurion, which the soldier had a servant, and that the people spoke of the certain centurion, how that, what he had done for the nation, when they were pleading with, when they were speaking on his behalf, that Jesus may do this for him, and speaking good words. And then, to say a word, and my servant shall be healed. And he believed in that. And he believed that Jesus' words had power, because him and the people all around had been hearing about such a person that was doing all of these miracles and the authority and the power in which he spoke. And they sought after him. They were saying that multitudes, he was, they were, around him so thick, multitudes of people. And so, and he believed that if Jesus would just say the word, that his servant would be healed. And he said, for also I'm a man of authority. And so he recognized Jesus' authority and the power. And, you know, even though there was a difference, he had the authority of the world, where he tell his servants to and his soldiers to go and do things, because he was high ranking, and they would go do it, you know. And so he knew that Jesus was a man of authority, that he was doing things that he not seen before, and that, you know, we have read in the past that in this scripture, when he started healing people, people were marveled. They hadn't seen this type of thing happen, you know. They probably wouldn't have believed that it was possible, you know. So and he also said that he was telling the centurion, was telling Lord to not trouble himself, for I'm not worthy that thou shouldest enter under my roof. So that I'm gathering from that, he knows that this man is holy. There is a good thing about this man. And so let's go on. Let's move on to verse 12. We're still in chapter 7. Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow, and much people of the city was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her, Weep not. And he came and touched the bier, and they that bare him stood still. And he said, Young man, I say unto thee, arise. And he that was dead sat up and began to speak, and he delivered him to his mother. And there came a fear on all, and they glorified God, saying that a great prophet is risen. A great prophet is risen up among us, and that God have visited his people. So that's very powerful. So these people witness the power of God raise a dead person back to life. And so they were scared. And then, you know, they glorified God. And as they said, a great prophet has risen. And that was told by the prophets in the past, that a great prophet would rise amongst his people, and that and they recognize that God has visited the earth to see what's going on with his people. And the rumor of him went forth throughout Judea and throughout all the region round about. Verse 18, and the disciples of John showed him of all these things. And John, calling unto him 2 of his disciples, sent them to Jesus, saying, Art thou he that should come, or look we for another? And when the men were come unto him, they said, John the Baptist hath sent us unto thee, saying, Art thou he that should come, or look we for another? And in that same hour he cured many of their infirmities and plagues or afflictions, and of evil spirits, and unto many that were blind he gave sight. Then Jesus, answering, said unto them, Go your way, and tell John what things ye have seen and heard, how that the blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, to the poor the gospel is preached. Verse 23, and blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. And so that right there in 23, verse 23 is very, very, very strong of words of the Lord. He said, blessed are those who are not offended of me. And so there was a lot of people that were offended at that time. And so because of their feelings toward him, they didn't experience great miracles. They were offended by his words when he was in the synagogue. They were offended by his actions. Why? Because probably some kind of, jealousy, envy, which are the works of the enemy. So, verse 24, and when the messengers of John were departed, he began to speak unto the people concerning John. What went ye out into the wilderness for to see? A reed shaken with the wind? So, John was in the wilderness, where it says a man in the wilderness preaching. So that's what he asking them. What y'all go into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? But what went ye out to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they which are gorgeously apparelled and live delicately are the kings of courts. So he's like, did y'all go out there to see what he was wearing? Of course not, because only the kings have the nice apparel, the nice clothing. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yeah, I say unto you, and much more than a prophet. This is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare the way before thee. So John was the messenger that was preparing the way for Jesus coming. This is he of whom it is okay, I read that. That's verse 27. And I'll read it again. This is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. For I say unto you, among those that are born of women, there is not a greater prophet than John the Baptist. But he that is least in the kingdom of God is greater than he. Verse 29. And all the people that heard him and the publicans justified God, being baptized with the baptism of John. And all the people that heard him and the publicans justified God, being baptized with the baptism of John. So during that time, John was doing the baptism. And the people that recognized and wanted this healing and listened to John in the wilderness, they accepted the baptism. But the Pharisees and lawyers rejected the counsel of God against themselves, being not baptized of him. And the Lord said, Whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation, and to what are they like? They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace and calling out to another and saying, We have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept. So it says, in other words, we have played the flute for you, and ye have not danced. For John the Baptist came, neither eating bread nor drinking wine, and ye say, He have a devil. The Son of Man is come, eating and drinking, and ye say, Behold, a gluttonous man, and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. So a friend of tax collectors and sinners. But wisdom is justified of all her children. Wisdom is justified of all her children. Verse 36. And one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him. And he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to meat. And behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spoke within himself, saying, This man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner. So the Pharisee is kind of wicked because, one, he said this to himself, within himself, in his mind. And so, but he didn't say, he didn't try to tell him anything. He didn't try to say anything about that. So, but he want to say in his mind, talk about him. But the Lord is the Lord. So this is what happened in verse 40. And Jesus answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he said, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had 2 debtors. The one owed 500 pence, and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me, therefore, which of them will love him most? Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom forgave most. And he said unto him, thou hast rightly judged. So the one that owed most would probably be more grateful. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, seest thou this woman? I entered unto thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with her hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman since the time I came in hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman have anointed my feet with ointment. Now the Pharisees are the teachers of the word. Wherefore I say unto them, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And he said unto her, thy sins are forgiven. And they that sat at meat with him began to say within themselves, who is that forgiveth sins also? And he said to the woman, thy faith hath saved thee. Go on in peace. And so that's it for chapter 7. A lot of great things happen. And so this woman, she knew who Jesus was. And Jesus knew her heart. And he knew the hearts of the Pharisees who sit there at meat and talked about this woman and their people supposedly representing God instead of helping her, are talking to her about her, iniquity, sins. They're talking about her. And yeah, so she was a sinful woman, but in her heart, she knew that she wanted to meet this holy man and that he would help her in her dismay and her iniquities. And she brought what she had unto him. She didn't have no meat, no fancy house or whatever, but she brought what she had and felt that that was adequate. And according to Jesus, he felt that it was adequate too, because he forgave her for her sins. And so, until next time, I hope that you have learned. I have definitely learned some things about this chapter. And I say unto you, enjoy this blessed day of the Lord. Continue to study and continue to be encouraged. Until next time.